We're going to begin the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting April 4th, 2018. It's 5 o'clock. And let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, approval of the minutes, March 21st, 2018, March 21st, 2018 public hearing, and March 23rd, 2018 emergency meeting.
I move to approve the minutes A, B, and C that you just listed.
Second.
Those in favor? Unanimous. Item 3, review of treasurer's warrants. A, payroll, 37, 38, 40. B, accounts payable, 35, 36, 39, 41.
Go ahead.
Just make a motion to approve all.
Second?
Those in favor? Unanimous. Open session, 2 minutes for anybody who would like to speak.
Well, I just want to thank the board for the decision they made to change the date of the town meeting, because then going to the events of Saturday and then talking to those people, and a lot of those people are also going to the second one down in Dover that day, so that accommodated a lot of people, and it was definitely the right thing to do, and
Well, good.
they were well attended, and it was a good deal, I thought, so I
Yep.
just wanted to thank the board for doing that.
Well, we have had no negative feedback that I'm aware of.
I didn't, but I know I went to one of the events, and I was there 20 minutes early, and it was full. We had to go way out the other room.
It would have been a pretty lightly attended town meeting.
A very light.
No question.
All right, thanks. Would you like to speak?
I don't know if you guys all know me, Josh Moore, Hamlin Associates. Just wanted to bring up the contract, which was, our old contract runs out March 30th. So I'd like to get a new one signed if possible, if you still want my services.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have any questions. Sometimes, I know in the past that selectmen have had me come in and ask questions, and
Like the one thing was get through town meeting, that's why we hadn't done it, just because we're not budgeted at this time.
I know like last year it was signed in December.
Yep, that would make sense.
We didn't have a town manager last year, so we may have done certain things that we're trying to do things more in line of how we're supposed to.
Trying to do things correctly.
Right.
And we can address the contract in the next few years if you want to do it after town meeting. That's not a problem. Like I said, it ran out on the 31st, so it's kind of wondering where to go from here is all.
Has it always been an annual contract, or can it be quarterly or monthly, or is that even an option?
It's usually an annual contract. I mean, the selectmen can do whatever they wish to do.
Okay.
Usually, try to get all the information for tax bills, so that runs annually. Is why the contract was always annually.
It is divided up into 12 equal payments, however.
Right.
That's how it's stated in the contract.
So how does, because I know nothing about assessing, and I have all kinds of thoughts, and we are all about saving money, and trying to look for different ways of saving money.
Right.
So with the service you guys provide, how often do you guys actually reevaluate a property or go look at a property?
We do an annual review, go look at everybody's property, look for new stuff tore down. A lot of the work comes from doing deeds. We're up to almost 90 deeds this year in Sangerville. Tree growth, there's a lot more to it than just going looking at properties and putting value on.
So what do you mean by that when you say the deed? So if I bought a new home, you guys would be notified of that deed change?
Yes, we get the deed from the registry automatically sent to us. This is what it's always done in the past. and then we make the changes, you know, whether it's a split or you buy the whole piece of land, a new home, you know, if you just transfer a property over to your kids, all that comes probate deeds, you know, all that has to be looked at, change on the property record cards, change in the computer system, and so forth.
Okay. So then if we get a building permit or whatever, then that, or is it just through the planning board, is that how?
A lot of towns will send me copies of building permits or a list. Yeah, I usually get a copy of building permits, go out and look at them. But it's not just building permits we go look at. Like I said, usually it's every property, once a year, do a review. A lot of times I'll do some in the fall and then write down what people are working on so I can go back and look at them before we commit, that type of thing.
So you ride the roads, every road in town?
Yep. Yep, there's some, you know, camps that are way out in the woods that we might not get to every year, but I try to get to every building at least once every 4 years. So we'll take, you know, time and walk out to them camps and go get them. And, you know, people call quite often for information changes. Addresses usually get from the staff here, and we change them too. A lot of times they'll change them in the trio. We've got to change them in the property record cards and make sure everything matches.
And you've given us a contract,
Yes.
right? And is it an increase from last year? It is, by,
I think it was what, 250 or?
Yeah, we're much. Usually it's like a 3% increase. I got last year's contract.
It's 16,000 even was what this new contract is. And the last year was what, 15?
15,760 last year. And then 16 even this year. And I do offer a 3-year contract which keeps the price the same for 3 years. A lot of towns have opted to go that route. That keeps that flat rate for 3 years.
is that something we'd have to have?
You'd have to
warrant?
go, you'd have to
Yeah.
go sample for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can't go
Yeah.
the year because.
that's right, that's right.
Tree growth, have we, I mean, maybe off the top of your head you might not know, but do we very often get a penalty, a check from a penalty?
Not a lot, no. Most of the people that are in tree growth keep it tree growth. Very few times somebody will take a couple acres out to build on or something like that, but
Right.
not recently. We haven't had many tree growth penalties. No.
But my understanding is that first acre is the most onerous acre, and some towns have I don't know, do we have a 2 acre minimum or
No, 1 acre.
1 acre?
Yeah. Yeah. And it varies whether you're on a dirt road or a tar road or remote, you know, what that first acre value is.
Yeah.
But that first acre is what costs the most to take out of tree
Right.
growth.
Do you use Google Earth at all?
Some,
Yeah, because you can see what
It's
was,
creative.
and now there's a little lag, it's just usually a couple of years back, but you still can see a bunch of buildings out there in the middle of the woods.
right. And we've gotten a few that way. You know,
Yeah.
GPS works so good nowadays.
Yep.
You know, we know a lot of the other out of place with GPS, so we can just go right back to it. But mostly if they're gonna build, they're gonna have some sort of road to it. So if you ride around Seaman Road, we'll get in there and
Yeah.
try to check it out.
Is much of the town in farm and open space?
Not a lot of the town, no.
But there is some?
There is some,
Okay.
yep. Open space is starting to be a big one now. People are transferring from tree growth to open
Right,
space.
yeah.
They don't have to have the tree growth plan done. The only thing with that is it kinda hurts the town a little bit because they don't get that tree growth reimbursement. And that amounts to quite a bit, you know?
Yep.
Is there any cost from switching from tree growth to open space?
No.
You just,
Just do it.
Just fill out a new
well, it's gonna
application.
become the norm. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I did that on my land in Abbott and I switched it and the very next week, Linkletters was in there and cut every twig right off the lawn.
According to your plan,
Did you want them to?
Yeah,
it's open space
it was
plan,
open space.
Yeah.
She'd be open when it was done.
that's
Yeah,
very
those
Took
interesting.
every tree right off that.
Like if you're in tree growth, you're supposed to follow your management plan that the forester does. There's no police that check that, but I understand that the forestry service is offering that to towns to come in and check plans out now. And they're finding a lot that's not in compliance,
I bet they are.
you know?
There's a lot of people that I'm sure are in that program because of the.
Yeah,
Like we was in Vinyl Haven for a class, there's 23 parcels that were in tree growth, and when the audit was done, there was only 3 that actually qualified. So they had to transfer to open space and pay the penalty to come out.
Which they really didn't mind doing, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, it's hard though when you tell your residents, hey, you gotta pay this or put it in open space, you know? But there's a lot there that's not in compliance for sure.
Now, who's the compliant
Police.
officer or whatever on
Compliance police.
A
forest
plan.
management, yeah, is it
Yeah,
the
sure.
Forest Service or?
Yeah, your district forest service. Yeah, right.
Is that something that you monitor though to alert the Forest Service?
No.
No, you don't care.
Care is the right word.
It's not your job.
Right, it's not part of the services he offers.
If I see something that is completely flattened, then I'll bring it to the town first. I don't just go ahead
Oh, okay.
and call them no. But more or less, nobody seems to bother nobody down the state. It takes a while to get your district forest person here, and by then usually the trees are starting to grow back up. And they say, yeah, let it go. But you know,
Well, it's,
Jeez.
It's not the program that it was intended to be.
Yeah.
right. It was really intended for the bigger companies that own a lot of land to get that tax break. You know, they've kind of defined it down into 10 acres, which changes it to a lot of little taxpayers, you know. It does help if you want to keep it forever forest. So, you know, there's 2 ways to look at it, I guess. A lot of people taking advantage of it on the water, not in this town, but a lot of other towns. If you own a bunch of land and some of it's on the water, you don't get charged that waterfront. That's your highest value in every town.
how many towns does Hamlin's do now?
18.
Yeah, well, okay.
So we can make a decision on this after town meeting, our next meeting, because we really haven't
We'll just
discussed
put it
it,
on the agenda.
so. We will.
Okay. I'll put on the agenda.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
You have a good day.
Item 5, Selectmen's concerns.
None?
Committee reports.
I have a couple. 6A. Road Commissioner. I have a potential employee for the summer. I had contact via phone. He's out of the state right now, but he'll be back after I'm back from Greece. So it's gonna coincide about that same time frame. That'll be fine. I did get a application on Facebook today, but I think it's a scam thing. So, well, I did some research, you know, I looked at the previous jobs, and it's like one was in Long Beach, California, and one was Munich, Germany. It's like,
Oh,
dude, if you're gonna,
That's a lot of experience right there.
yeah, and you know, it was like line technician
Coming
and
here.
senior environmental
Oh, geez.
something. It's like,
Okay.
I don't think that's what you're looking for, so.
Yeah.
And when I Googled the phone number, it came up as a spam
Wow.
phone number, so.
That's encouraging.
And then I went back and read the ad that I had posted on Facebook, and it said to email me directly, and it had my email address. So, because it didn't come through, it just was a post on Facebook, I'm not gonna respond to that.
No.
So, the other thing, Dale and I, last Friday, was it? We went up to the garage. I had asked Whited Ford to do an appraisal of sorts on our equipment, but I did not have the information in the office, and so Dale went up and he helped me get the VIN numbers, mileage, hours, you know, on equipment and stuff like that. Some of the equipment is not functioning. We couldn't get it to turn on, so that we don't even know what the mileage is.
It was pretty discouraging.
Yeah.
Huh.
Basically, I think everything up there needs to be inspected.
Yes, all of the inspection is expired on every piece, yes.
I don't know. The Ford wouldn't pass inspection because that has that inner fender well missing, so that wouldn't hamper that.
Which one's that?
The dump truck.
The dump truck?
The ton truck, the floorboards are all out of it, so that's
Not gonna pass.
not gonna pass. That, I would be surprised if that has enough value that we would have an interest in fixing it. The 5500, our newest, and that's the one when you turn the key and nothing happens. The dash lights don't even come on. The sander's
Does it have a
damaged.
battery?
Yeah, it should have, but
Yeah, it has 3 batteries in it.
the sander's damaged on it.
Gee.
It's just, I was pretty,
Yeah.
it was discouraging.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And what you didn't know was the bulldozer, under the bulldozer, did you see the fluid, the oil or whatever
Yeah.
that was? That's leaking from the bulldozer. So Butch went up on Monday and he knows there's some pipes that need to be
Yeah, some
replaced.
lines that need to be replaced.
And so he's been working with me to get that replaced and fixed. I talked to Chris and asked if he or Warren could get my 5500 running and at least get the sand out of the truck, cause it's full.
It's gotta come out.
It's gotta come out, yeah. And, Chummy called me yesterday and he and Warren are going to, the first part of next week.
Yep.
Or at least, you know, by the
Next
time
week.
I get back from vacation, they'll have, hopefully get it running, they'll empty it
Yeah,
out.
Warren's just had he's been in bed the last 2 days, he's just
Yeah.
been.
Very sick.
Ugh.
So you can stay away from everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he says like the lowest thing I'm avoiding him, but I said
No,
he's just been.
yeah. You
No.
do not wanna be sick.
But I mean, it definitely it needs a lot of housekeeping up there, but there is tools up there, it's very clear that things haven't been being taken care of, or maintained and
Sorted.
sorted.
You know, the tools aren't sorted, I mean, they're,
It's every truck, you open the door and there's stuff in the door, and there's stuff in the seat, there's stuff on the floor. You know, we haven't ran a chainsaw since the big storm quite a while ago, and both of those, you gotta walk around them, they're laying in the way at the bench, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow,
it's just stuff like that, nothing's not.
yeah, yeah.
Didn't appear to be a lot of respect or pride in
And
wanting to
maybe-
keep
yeah.
it picked up, taken care of, so.
yeah.
Hey.
So,
Well, it's
Hopefully with
definitely,
your candidate, maybe,
I say, it's about the right fit, you need the right fit up there.
yeah,
But that's not an easy thing.
right,
You know.
right.
Hopefully, you have some luck there.
yeah.
but I definitely, I mean, if they get that truck running, I really think that, I understand we thought we were going the right way, but all we got was, anyone could have done that, they just typed in numbers in the computer and gave you, and that's not what we need, the condition of that equipment.
You need a.
Somebody
comment on-
needs,
yeah.
that deals in equipment, needs to physically look at it, go over it, I mean, stuff is damaged, stuff has been welded, been repaired, all of that is part of a value.
Needs to be
Right.
cataloged and adjusted.
Did Chris give you Dick Condon's name?
Dick Condon, I think,
From,
he gave me yes, it was a Condon, and I don't know if it was Dick or Rick, but,
yeah, it's south of Augusta.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a big equipment.
Chelsea?
yes,
Chelsea.
yes.
Yeah.
And then there was another guy in Troy, he gave me
Yeah,
2
yeah.
numbers, so,
Oh, I didn't think of him.
yeah, he's from Troy.
Yeah, no, I know both
Yeah, they
guys.
Yeah, right at the sharp corner, you take a left, and you take a right, and you're right there, I know right
But
where.
I mean, they deal from dump trucks to rollers to bulldozers.
Lawnmowers.
It just, yeah,
They deal in everything, both of them, so.
okay.
Yeah, so we did get quotes on estimated value, but it was just from an NADA, it was no visual inspection
And
that
was-
Whited
wasn't
came
that
and
s-
had done.
That wasn't that resale value? I mean, that was like high-end book value is what,
I think that's what it
That's
said.
not what they were willing to pay us.
that's not if he was gonna sell it tomorrow, that was
Right.
if it was in number one shape on a dealer's lot. with-
Ah.
You gotta go buy it.
Right,
So they didn't see it,
Yeah.
it was all based on what
Just
you
the information
provided
that I
to us.
submitted.
Oh, so that's a big difference.
which was basically VIN number, year, make,
Oh,
model,
oh.
Pretty much
mileage,
So I mean, it's basically Google.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you can do that, anybody can do that.
right,
I mean,
Right.
it was a nice offer to do it, but it's just not what I was
Right.
looking for, I was
No,
looking
they're-
for.
yeah.
Maintenance records for each piece and.
There was a binder
some-
there that had like oil changes and stuff
The binder, like-
listed in it.
Parts,
There's a
$2,500 here, 400 there, this, that.
there's a binder in there.
Okay.
We did not find the key, Butch and I, for the bulldozer. we did find the key that opens the padlock. There's a padlock on the key
Right.
switch.
Yeah,
And when you open that, there's no key in there. But luckily Butch had
But
a
just
duplicate.
John Deere key will work on it.
yeah,
Oh, is it?
yeah, they're all.
That's what he
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
It will, it will.
Any John Deere there is, go fire it up. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if the lawnmower key works in it.
Oh, yeah. sure.
Why even put a key in? I mean,
I know, yeah, press a
See
button.
his lawnmower, same thing. Every Sears lawnmower they ever made is all the same deal.
Is that right?
Every Craftsman lawnmower. Which meat works for Snapper and all the rest of them.
yeah, I
All
think,
same.
I think Kubota does the same thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my reports from.
Well,
I do think Warren has been out to, filling in more potholes and stuff.
Yeah, Chris did a couple the other day, I know.
Yeah, he did Grant Road. He told me
Yeah,
he went, and
yeah.
specifically, he told me he went and did the Grant Road, because I did have a person, a resident call, and they didn't slow down, and they bottomed out on the
Wow.
culvert.
Oh, one thing too, the culvert between my house and Jerry Peters. That needs
The one
to
that's
be
popping up.
bad.
Well,
That needs to, it's basically the culvert is out of ground now. I mean,
Does it
needs
need to be there? Is there a need for a culvert there?
Jerry's flooded right now.
Okay,
that's all beside the road.
all right.
But like, we need to make sure before we do that, to get a hold of Jerry or Scott, because,
Bob.
well, no, because Jerry and Scott, when they did the riding arena on the other side.
Right, Bob.
They spent a
Bob
lot of
did.
money in tile and drainage on that side, in anticipation of the culvert. It's not in the way of the culvert, but I just wouldn't want a contractor sat for it.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, everything is back, it's not in the town way, it's all done right, it's just a
Right.
matter
Because
of,
they wanted to do that culvert when they did
Correct.
that, but
nobody would
they
have it.
wouldn't, no, we can't do that.
So,
Is it a metal culvert coming right out of the water?
But it's been a bump there for, what,
well, it's been not
5
too
years?
bad, now it's like that,
Yeah.
I mean, you're.
It is up.
It
It's,
hurts.
yeah.
Oh.
Oh, and the other thing too, and I forgot, was Kevin Kluge is gonna be advertising very soon about his bicycle giveaway program thing. So we started that in the fall, and it's been in the paper a couple times throughout the winter. I'm not sure how many bikes he got done total, it's well over 100.
He's got,
They're everywhere. It was his winter project. Everybody gave him a bunch of old bikes, and people's donated
You just
money.
give them away?
and he refurbished them,
No, they went- yeah.
they all have, proper
All
chain
new
and pedals
paint,
and
new-
seats
everything's new on
and
it.
baskets on the little girl ones, and, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
In his entire garage, and then he's got a shed out back
Oh, and then
completely
the
full,
other-
and
they're
then they're
everywhere.
hanging
They're
outside now, like, yeah.
He needs to team up with Glenn.
Well, no, he got them all. You don't have it.
Oh, okay.
Because Kevin was at my house one day and we were talking about that, and I donated some stuff, and I asked him, I said, did you ever get out and talk to him? No. I said, you may want to. I said, but I'm telling you right now, you better get a trailer, because there ain't no way you get them all, and it was 2 or 3 loads he got them out of there. But, yeah, I don't want to, it's crazy how many bikes he's redone. But that's his plan, he wants to do it at the rec field, and he's gonna put something in the paper, and they're gonna be free, he's not gonna charge anybody. And,
Wow, jeez.
Yeah,
I hooked him
great.
up, I talked to Jason today at work about it, I told Kevin I was gonna, because, the rec department might wanna have a hand in helping do all of this as well, so.
yeah, maybe sell a few hot dogs.
Wicked good idea.
I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people there for free bicycles.
you
There's gonna
bet,
be.
there will be,
Yeah.
so you might as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
All the way from little, where kids
Right.
just push with their feet, and I'm up to
Oh,
10
yeah.
speeds, 21 speeds,
they come
everything.
from all over, I'm telling you, it
That's
hit
nice.
Facebook, and he had people from all over the state wanting to donate. And he's met people in Bangor and Newport, people have come up and dropped them off and donated.
Yes,
It's kinda neat, really.
yeah.
Jeez. Good for Kevin.
Is that it?
Yes.
Rec committee, facility use agreement.
Yes, when I did the insurance renewal for property and casualty, we've got the gazebo, I added the gazebo on so that the gazebo will be covered for damages. I also mentioned that, possibilities of renting it out for weddings and stuff like that. And she said we should have a facility use agreement, and so I have, and so that, the one that's in here actually came from the insurance, from MMA, that, and it's a fill in the blank, it's this one.
Okay.
And so I emailed it to Rhonda and Jimmy, Jason, and, we'll have to tweak it to make it fit, whatever, but that's what we're doing.
And does that up our insurance because of liability with renting it out too? It doesn't.
As long as it's in good working order, I mean,
Right.
if somebody trips on a rock or falls down a step because they've inebriated, that's on them.
Mm-hmm. Good.
That would never happen in the town.
Most people's homeowners cover their own.
They
Parties.
can't, you can't
Oh.
have this is a question of, you can't rent that location and serve alcohol there, can you?
It depends on if you put it in the policy.
Okay.
I would question that even then. It's still town property. You can't, I mean. any
Do you have a
other-
town policy that says you can't drink on town property?
I don't know, is that a state thing? I don't think it's a town thing.
No, because when I was in Bradford, we actually had what they called the tulip. It's a tenant user's liability something. And in that policy, it's something that, it's an insurance that we require people that rented to purchase in addition to the,
Ah.
and there was a question in there, will there be drinking? You know, will alcoholic beverages be served? And if they check yes, then their insurance is almost double
Whoa.
than if they say no. And then if they get caught drinking, if they say no and they drink and somebody gets injured because they were drinking, then the tulip policy doesn't cover it, goes back on them.
Wow.
I still
Wow.
check with MMA, because I was pretty sure there's something about town property.
Well, in something in the sense that you think it's
Illegal to have.
statewide prohibited? You don't
Really?
think a municipality can grant permission?
I know it used to be part of the fire service, when after a fire you would have alcohol, and that all ended. And it all
Well,
ended
that's different.
everywhere.
But
And I
some
know
of these
other towns
towns-
that have buildings without an ordinance, and they can't do it, aren't doing it in their towns.
Some of these towns, their fairgrounds is on town property, and a lot of them have beer tent.
I would just ask.
No, I think you definitely wanna ask, but I suspect we have jurisdiction.
I would question.
Okay. I'll just email her back and she'll let me know.
Because it's gonna come up if somebody.
Sure.
Yeah, but you.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's a wedding and reception, yeah, you bet it's gonna come up. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
New business, village cemetery mapping.
I had a resident, not a resident. Her father was a resident and he passed away. I don't know what his name was. And she called and she wanted to purchase a lot in Village Cemetery. Well, as you know, on that side of the pit road, it's pretty well full. And so there's a new section on the right-hand side. And so when we went to look at the maps, there is no map per se of that side. We did find, I guess it's broken up into 3 sections, and when I called David Kimball, he said there are no pins in there. Well, then I called Dick Pansiera, well, I called Tom, then I called Dick. And Dick told me there are pins in the 1st and 2nd section, but not the 3rd section that's in there. But when they placed the pins, it was freshly turned over dirt, so with time and grass and everything, those pins have sunk below surface level, so you can't see them
Yeah, metal.
without.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
They're metal, obviously. Stakes.
I think they are metal. We're pretty sure that they're metal, and so, but just to keep that in mind, the 3rd section is not done.
Is the 3rd section closer to Haley's or closer to the road?
Closer to Haley's.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Because,
We got a little bit of time before we get to that section, because we haven't hit the 2nd section yet. We have, I think, 3 plots of 4 lots, or however you want to say, before we fill the 1st section, and then we haven't gotten to the 2nd section, but
And he doesn't allow people to
Yeah,
go
like
beyond the
choose
section that's mapped
where
out.
they wanna go.
Well, typically you do let them choose because you have a map that shows.
They don't in like Dexter, for example.
Right, you
Because
go in order, they don't,
like, gee, I'd like to be up there by that tree. It's like, nope, not until we fill this.
Yeah, so, and I'm not sure, I think there was a policy that was passed at some point when that section was built, and they changed it, it used to be for 6 lots per plot. The wording is actually backwards, it's supposed to, a lot is for 4 or 6 people, a plot is each individual, but they have the wording reversed here
Oh,
for
no.
this section. For this section. So 6 lots per plot, but when David came on, I think they changed it because they've increased the size of the concrete things that you put the caskets in.
liner.
And so now there's 4 lots per plot. So that whole mapping system that we've got there is for 6 lots per plot, so we kind of have to.
So does the sexton do all this?
Yeah, but when I talked to him, he said, there's no map or anything for that section. So I did call him and I did leave a message and said, hey, it's there and maybe we can use a metal detector to find some pins, but,
He finds 2, he'll find the rest.
Right.
well,
I mean, he knows the layout after that. So.
right, so anyway, I don't know if we're gonna do the mapping, leave it the way the mapping is done, I mean,
Sounds like it needs to be straightened out. I mean, especially if the concrete forms or liners are
bigger.
too big, you're gonna run into,
Those, yeah, they need to be the map needs to be redone
I
for
mean,
what
when
those
you're
sizes are.
digging down with the excavator for the next one, you're gonna be hitting,
right,
Right.
so we need to consider that probably in the next year when we do our budgeting.
I think we have a bigger problem down there than that.
Well, and then
That's
the
that
next thing
erosion's
out of my
unbelievable.
mouth.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
Have you noticed it lately?
Yeah, did you see the tree, the big oak tree
Well,
going
I-
down into the river?
I think that's actually what's happening down there, is those trees are getting big enough, the trees are falling over. When they're ripping all that dirt down.
And it's just,
And
it's
then it's
moving.
just going.
Eee.
And
How do you see that? Where do you?
If
do have
you
to
come
drive
across
in?
from Guilford,
Oh,
this is the
It's
perfect time of
bad.
year to look at it.
you
It's
can see
unbelievable.
it.
it's very,
evident.
and where it's eroded, we're fortunate because that's down there and the river's actually doing this to the cemetery. So we're eroding down here and we got some time. But where the trees are coming now is closer to the bridge. The distance of the bank to the cemetery is very close. We don't have much time.
No,
Right, no.
you're gonna start seeing graves sticking out of the side of that bank.
Yeah,
I don't know what we need to do or who we need to get involved into it, but it needs to happen very quickly.
Well, yeah, I mean, hopefully there's some federal money, because this is
Well,
not,
I don't even know where do you start.
you're not gonna build a retaining wall for less than many,
the
many
river up.
thousands.
Yeah.
No, it's huge
Yeah, I mean,
project,
Yeah.
and it's moving.
Cut the
Yikes.
trees and let them go.
You'll see the dirt is just
I can tell you right
moving.
now.
It's like the Grand Canyon.
That is my
On a
number
mini
one
scale.
thought that I would suggest right
Cut the
now,
trees down.
is all of those trees need to go.
So they don't pull the.
Yeah, but once you kill the roots, that might work, you might be right. At
If
least
you-
you take the top.
That's
you
right.
Get the
weight-
leverage off.
And even if you planted something back,
Well,
get
if
a new
you
root
cut
base.
those stubs, they're gonna live for another 20 years.
Sure.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but they're not gonna tip.
Right, that's what
No,
I'm saying.
no, they'll
You
just-
still have the binding effect.
Right.
Of the roots.
It's probably worth consulting a forester over
Or
me.
some, but I don't even know where we need to go to get somebody at a higher level.
And do we
involved.
own to the river?
yeah.
Because you can't do much there.
That's,
No.
that's why I think we really,
Yeah, you can't
We need to
really
get
even
somebody
cut
at the
those
state
trees.
level.
I don't think so.
Well, DEP, do you think, would be,
I don't believe it, because we're not,
Forestry, Gordon Moore from Willimantic, he'd be a good resource.
who?
Gordon Moore, he's a retired state forester. He's,
I would think you gotta get involved somebody at the state level and you're gonna start playing phone tag, bouncing department to department when you explain what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
And then I'm
Gordon
gonna
would be
start
a-
with Jim Byer,
he'd
because
be a
I've
good,
worked with him.
he'd be a good resource to us.
I bet it's gonna be somebody at Soil and Water Conservation.
Well, he was,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'll be surprised if there isn't some entity for cemeteries, but who knows?
Well, I did mention this to Chris Winstead last summer when it was brought to my attention. I don't know if it's just out of his mind at this point. I asked for him to look out for grants for repair for that. But we know getting a grant of that magnitude, we're gonna have to spend some money
That's
to
always been a
get,
project.
you know, like your
I don't even know the
CES
remedy.
or whatever.
It's- yet to be
You know the
determined.
remedy, and I don't wanna talk about it, that's why I wanna try to get somebody.
No, the remedy is like a concrete wall.
Right.
Which is, multi-story.
Or movement.
Yeah, well,
That's
it's equally
what I'm saying.
expensive, exactly
There's
right.
no
You're
good.
talking about moving the cemetery?
Yep. What else are you gonna do if
You-
that bank goes?
Tell me how you're gonna stop that. Now, it may not happen in the next 5 years, but in the next 50,
Yeah.
that whole bank is going into that river.
What did
I
that
don't
look like
think-
50 years ago? When
Correct.
That's right.
I don't
Yeah.
think you got,
10.
Even that amount of time.
I don't believe you got 10.
It's moving. That oak tree is a huge oak
It's
tree,
bad.
and it's going
I saw
in.
that a couple weeks ago, and it's, oh my.
I said to my wife, I said, that's the erosion.
That's exactly what's doing it, those trees are getting bigger, they're falling over,
Yeah.
they're pulling the bank down.
Tearing the turf out behind them, now you got more loose
Now-
dirt, it
That's
just
right.
keeps going.
It's just coming.
Right.
And it's already, it's like that, I mean,
And you
if
get-
you go, remember when we talked about this last year?
Yeah, I remember.
If I went up there then and got out of the car and went to that bank and it was, I mean, you're not talking, it was almost straight up.
Yeah.
And I mean, the danger to somebody going and visiting a grave over there and standing
it's-
there, I
Well,
mean,
the
just
bank is so steep that I wouldn't walk down it, period.
really.
No,
So-
No.
that,
no.
in good condition, that's how steep it is.
Jeez.
Now you've torn the wall out, and the soil is just pouring into that river,
How
which,
close would
that's
you
not a
say
big.
the grave, like a grave, the headstone is to the,
A, gr-
where you wouldn't
a
even dare?
car width,
A car width, that's it.
maybe a
On
little
this
more.
end, I mean, when you
I
go
have
down
to
through,
drive in there, yeah.
you don't even have, all you gotta do is just go up at the, go park now, cause the snow's melted. You can pull off right
Walk
there, just,
trail.
good,
The
yeah,
trail.
get down to the
You
bridge.
stand right on the bridge and see it, it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
this huge,
Yeah, but can you see the headstones and see
No,
how
but I mean,
close, what the?
but you see that when you drive by the bridge.
Oh,
They're right
oh.
there on that corner on this end,
it's a big project.
yeah.
It's bigger than Sangerville wants to tackle on its own.
But it's something that,
But like
not
you said-
talking about it and not doing nothing.
Right, is not
So
an
the
option.
water-
It's not gonna solve it.
It's not an option.
Soil and Water, Piscataqua Soil and Water Conservation District would be a good.
I think that would be a huge.
Piscataquis County has its
Yeah.
own division.
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
read it over.
As a matter of fact, here, right here,
Yeah.
Piscataquis County.
You
Oh, yeah, I gave you that.
You're on it. You didn't even.
You were
know it.
way
You're
ahead of
on
us. Excellent work.
it. Good job, boys.
Yeah, you know where they're in the business park, up.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's where I get the
That's-
fish.
that's where they are.
Yeah.
School district.
Yeah,
I've been in there. a
very
lot.
nice people.
All those people that Chris had you sign names for, it's for them.
They're in the business park.
And honestly, maybe they won't be able to even help us, but
But-
Might point you in the right
I
direction.
think
They've
it's
gotta
gonna
be
be.
able to tell us.
I think what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna have somebody from there and somebody from here. You're gonna have multiple.
levels
Agencies.
and, yeah.
Tell you
Involved
now,
in this.
I wouldn't hesitate to call Mr. Davis and have him look at it, because he might also know
Oh,
some sources. I mean, this is a big deal.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, Dexter went through, I remember, it was years and years ago, but remember Dexter, it was a different situation, but it was an erosion problem. How did Dexter ever conquer that?
But they weren't on
No,
water.
they were coming straight up.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that driving by there, they were there. You could go in there and be one of them.
Well, I know Mount Hope Cemetery in Bangor has the same issue, but they got a grant in conjunction with them redoing their sewer lines and water lines.
Oh.
So they were able to siphon a little bit to their project to repair that.
And
But
that's all sand
it's
too,
like
that's the problem now.
400,000-500,000.
It's
I mean-
Oh, it's not cheap.
You can call Robbie Haley, and we'll buy every second block that he makes for the next 20 years. And start piling them in there. But I mean,
No, it's not.
it's bad.
And even concrete erodes.
True, that's true too.
You have a construction site on the river.
Oh.
Yeah, on top of the cemetery.
Yeah, don't hit the headstones.
Hey,
They would really
Moving
have to
might be
be in the river to fix that. I don't think they can fix it from the top.
No, reestablish vegetation, I don't know, I have no, don't know.
Beyond my pay grade. Okay. The Robert Heyman email.
Yes. So I forwarded you this email this morning. This is Robert Heyman. And you have a second one that actually came in later, just before we started. This is, both of them own properties on Center Pond. Both of them love the area. they visit, they snowmobile, they do all kinds of good stuff, but their concern is the ATV question. So that's what these emails are about, is their hope that the townspeople hear their voice and vote no on the ATV question. They want to keep the ATV access open.
Right.
That was the biggest thing that I've heard, is making sure at the meeting that it is very clarified how, when you vote yes, what it means, and when you vote no, what it means. Because that's the concern right now,
Right.
which I mean, it's
The
very
article's
clear.
pretty clear.
It's very clear.
Prohibit.
And we put the verbiage, what happens.
If you vote no.
So, I
right.
mean, we've done our part, but some people still aren't grasping it.
So, yes means no, and no means yes.
Correct.
Correct. Yes means prohibit, no means ride.
Right, that's, because that was the cost of yesterday, about the tricky wording of the question, and I says, no, I don't think it's a tricky wording. They
No.
Verified,
Point blank, and
you know, I said, no, it's not a,
It's not a
tricky,
trick
no.
question.
No means leave it alone.
So,
it doesn't ask you if you want to have access, if you want to take it away. That's what
Right.
it was presented to us.
Right,
If you want to take it away.
right.
It's interesting, I mean, these people they don't even get to vote, but
No,
they're very
no.
engaged. It's really important to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the first guy, this Robert Heyman, he said he's got 8 ATVs.
Yeah,
Oh, that's,
which means, and he's registering them here in town.
Yeah.
And, no, they can't vote because it's a secondary property, it's not their primary
It's not where
residence.
they,
Right,
not their
right,
residence.
right.
I remember when a certain doctor moved in town, and he was to buy the planned development site ground over there, and he was at the town meeting and speaking, and he couldn't even vote.
Yep.
I don't know that there's any way to get these letters out so that people get to read them.
I mean, you can put them on the website.
Yeah, could do that, but, I mean, it's tomorrow. I mean, you could probably get more reading on the door.
you could have somebody read them there.
Do we wanna do that?
If
That
you
is
wanted
a
to.
question.
I mean, that's a question.
I mean.
Well, and you could get 5 more letters, and before you know it, you're
Oh,
reading
yeah,
all of
spending-
them.
yeah.
But it's just,
But you could just bring it up that way. You don't have to read it, but you could bring it up that you've had multiple citizens, or however, couple of citizens, couple of emails, these are their concerns.
Yeah, or, we've had 2 emails that are no. But they
Right.
can't vote, just who have expressed.
and then the very next question would be, how many did you get that were in support of doing it? Wait,
Right, but, well, 2.
You didn't get any?
No.
Oh, sure you didn't get any.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, no,
No.
you're not gonna win either way on this conversation.
Correct. I think you let the vote go, and whatever happens,
I think there will
happens.
be enough conversation about it.
I suspect that you are correct.
I think that's probably gonna be one of the hottest topics. You think the?
Yeah, that's.
It'll keep the place full to the end.
Okay.
I think it's just gonna be a lot of discussion. I don't think,
It's really, yeah, I mean, it's not complicated.
no, it's not. I mean, you're gonna have people there, they're gonna wanna voice their opinion of why they want access.
And you'll have plenty of people with opinions to why they don't wanna listen to them.
No minds are gonna be swayed. They're already,
right,
The count, it's
Right.
just a matter of counting them, you're thinking. You're probably right.
no, nobody's gonna be swayed. Everybody.
right, they
know.
have their opinion, they know how they're gonna vote, it's just.
Yeah, you can talk about it for an hour, you can
Right.
talk about it for 5 minutes, the vote's gonna be the same.
Right, probably right.
And I think there's gotta be a point where probably Mr. Davis is gonna have to,
Well,
Say that.
I know,
No, they'll move the article. They'll just. And I am gonna ask for a ballot vote on that.
oh, okay.
Written ballot.
Okay, item 8, old business. None. Correspondence?
I gave you an email, or I emailed it to you. Oh, no. It's from Chris Winstead. I had asked him to write up a little blurb about the reasoning behind doing the Brownfields grant was to reuse the building, not to demolish the building, and so that's what he's written up here. I don't know, do you wanna, if you wanna print it off, or do you wanna, have
Did
it
you?
read? No, I don't.
Oh, we don't have it.
No, I just went back in and grabbed it.
Oh.
This is, you want me to read it?
Sure.
Says, thank you for your inquiry regarding the Abbey Fowler site. I am writing regarding the EPA Brownfields cleanup grant issued from PCEDC to the Sangerville Historical Society on behalf of the town of Sangerville. The purpose of the EPA Brownfields grant is to identify and clean up contaminated sites with the goal of combating environmental risk, combating blighted and unusable buildings, and bringing these properties back onto the tax rolls through cleanup, redevelopment, and reuse. The grant provided by PCEDC to the Sangerville Historical Society was awarded to help foster the cleanup through asbestos abatement, PCB remediation, and removal of hazardous building materials. The application process required a future use of the facility. The town identified the need for cleanup so that the property could be used as an assisted senior living facility. The end goal of the EPA funding is to have the property end up back on the tax rolls through redevelopment and improvement to the property. Per our conversation, the highest reuse of the property would be ideal. The end goal is to have the former Abbey Fowler School end up back on the tax rolls. With that being said, there is flexibility, and I would be more than happy to provide additional information. So basically, it looks like what he says, because there were two grants. One was the PCEDC themselves. That was presented with an assisted living facility plan, and that's why they granted it. And the EPA is the brownfields, which we know they encourage reuse of the property. Is not required per se, but
Well, maybe if there was some discussion that developed around why don't we just tear that building down,
That's what
you could read that.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't need to read it if it isn't warranted, but,
okay.
and that doesn't mean,
Right.
again, you're gonna sway anybody, but that's the official position of the folks that worked on the grant with us.
Correct.
Yep.
So that was some correspondence.
That's good. That's helpful.
And is that it for correspondence?
Yeah,
Additional agenda items?
yep. We haven't discussed this in a meeting, I don't think. And as we were going through our first few items here, I did send you notice that the chairman of the board is allowed to make motions and second motions. That was clarified in the municipal officers manual, and it is not restrictive. So he is allowed to make motions.
Okay.
So I
Well,
mean,
that's
The
good.
chair needs to step up a little.
Yeah, really. No, that's good. Very good.
And the second thing, Pirate Rec would like to make a presentation at town meeting tomorrow night. They're giving a donation for the Parks and Rec Department. And so I told Jason today, 5:50, not at 6 o'clock, at 5:50, so that we can start our meeting at 6 o'clock.
Oh.
And I did email Paul Davis to let him know that the Pirate Rec wanted to do that. And so he wants a town official to accept the check, and it's a
Oh, jeez.
big
No
check. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
There you
So,
go.
There we go. Thanks for volunteering. Greatly appreciate that.
Beautiful.
You're the only one that can handle money, so.
That's right.
So I just wanted to give you a heads up
Oh,
on that.
that's good news.
Great. That's very good.
That was happening.
Anything else?
No,
Executive session?
no.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll second.
Any further discussion? It's unanimous.
Favor. See you
See you all tomorrow.